brothers and sisters. That just driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. But it's not taking very long to upload. I apologize again, but this time I promise I get a lesson in. What I was trying to get at is the way that the communication is they think that they can just go and talk up a storm about God, Jesus. This is what we're talking about. Somebody comes in and says, I'm a Jesus follower. I'm reborn. I'm born again Christian. Me and God are like that. And so, what causes this? Well, I go and I see the shut-ins. I go and I see the people, and I take care of my mom and dad and all of this stuff, and certainly I'm the most gracious of people, and I give the most in church and stuff like that, and this is the story in the Bible that equates to that narrative is the one with Nicodemus, when he says, surely one cannot crawl right back up into their mother's, uterus. And Jesus is like saying, and you're one of the top Pharisees, and you don't understand what I'm saying. If this is the way it reads, it's like you're a lunatic. And of course, this Nicodemus character comes up with his arms just loaded with church, and he's one of the higher priests in the Pharisees, and he's one of the main guys. So he's like carrying Bibles, and he's rich and steeped in religion, and he says, certainly I can get into heaven with all of this. He says, no, he says, this is what he says to people that are religious. He didn't say it to anybody else in the group. He says it to those religious people. You religious people, you gotta be born again. The whole thing, everything about it's got to go. It's like you got to kill yourself and start all over from scratch. That's that's really how that means. So you realize that when someone says, I've done this, and this is their works, that's not what it means for them. That's the narrative that they're supposed to die with it, and God will deal with them when he's dead, and still, when they die, they just have no idea. They're still not sure, but I've been nice. I've taken care of people, I love bunny rabbits, and stuff like that. It's a better word. It's getting me mad. Y'all, we need to go and walk up the mountain. Where it says, come, let us go up the mountain of the Lord. I'm gonna need it. It's starting to get frustrating. Alright? But anyways, what I wanted to talk about was that what happens in the Bible, they says, get gone. I don't even know you. He says, get out of here. You're blasphemy. You're an adulterer. Get out of my sight. That's what Jesus would say. Okay? And he's right there, And the blasphemy parts in the Bible are, hey, look at those people over there. They're sitting with their backs towards the temple, watching the morning sunrise in Easter. Ooh, wow. It's because they're looking the wrong way. But that's an abomination. Okay? Those women that are weeping for Tammuz, during the days of Lent, when the lengthening of days, this is in Lent, that he makes fun of that too. He says, look at them. It's again because they're following the sun, they're looking outside themselves. That's what an abomination is. So when they say that, when two males are together or something like that, that's an abomination. Is that what they're calling it? And we know that it's nothing physical in it. It's about electrical. So it's two male consciousness hooking up, and there's your fag. All right. So most all religious people are queers. Biblical queers. Oh, if you guys are new, sorry about that. I really don't have any disclaimers. Just too bad. But this story was about the narrative, and that, and I started off with God is gooder than hell, because the last few days, I've been working with the out world. I have to make a living in the outside world, and I've been watching these crass videos and TVs and laugh, comedians and stuff like that. And, it's like this just sucks the consciousness out of you. So, I know it's about time for me to go. Give myself another dose of Jesus. But in the process, I want to tell you guys this story. I want to show you what it means. The shadow of death. All right, the shadow of death in our Bibles sounds like we're always like, oh, we could die at any moment. All right, the narrative of the Bible is for you to believe it from the outside. Believe just what you read, just what you see. Don't add nothing. Don't take anything. So thou, though you walk in the shadow of death, you shall fear no evil. Let's see, it says Psalm 23, verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I will fear no evil. Thy rod, thy staff, they comfort me. So, the valley of death, that valley of death is where we are on once we cross over and after we kill ourselves on the cross, after we suspend our bodies and take that the 5 wounds of Christ. That we're going for our walk down the way, down the righteous path, that He showeth the way. That's the way, Jesus, the Kundalini, all right? That's the shadow of death. The valley is between the 2 mountains, between the 2 brains. There's always that arachnoid, there's that, in the temple, there's that curtain that divides places, and only the high priest is allowed in the other side, and that's you, only you are allowed in. So this would be you. Yea, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil. Thy rod and thy staff, thy comfort me. As soon as you make this zip over to the other side, as soon as you do that, as soon as you separate from the skin, you lose the beast. The beast in you is gone. The conscious mind, the left side of your brain, asleep. And in the stories in the Bible, and in Krishna's time, and all this is when all the guards fall asleep and the doors all unlock and open up. There's a little tremble, and and they all fall asleep. And the doors open and everyone runs. That's when everybody takes off. That's what Jesus says. I'm here to free you. Here to free those people in prison. You don't want a bunch of these prisoners out here running around free. It's prisoners within yourself. Again, it depends on the narrative. If you want to believe in the letter, the letter kills. If you want to believe in the spirit saves. And it saves you from yourself, basically. It saves you from the outside world getting the better of you, creating a monster, Luke chapter 1, verse 79. To shine upon those who sit in the darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet in the way of peace. Okay, peace, righteousness. These words are switched around. They mean the same, or they can hold their own weight in these places. Again, the shadow of death is here to guide our feet. When we wash our feet, we have to think about that as well. It's when you wash your feet, you're going under. When you wash your face, these are ideas of washing off and cleaning off the body, rinsing our skin, getting rid of it. That's what it means. That's all it's about. And in this one here, it says to, those who sit in the darkness and in the shadow of death. Jesus teaches us how to commune with Him. And He tells us that we're to go into our closets and shut the door. So you just think of yourself like a little closet with a chair. And of course, the other day with the 7 dwarfs, the first person, someone's been sitting in my chair. That represents the first phase. Then someone eats from a plate, and then someone gives some bread. Number three. So, if you kept track of that, that was working off instead of naming the seven drawers, they were showing up as symbolism all the way to the end where they drank from someone's mug, which is the seventh. That's when something good has happened, and you're celebrating, and it's rest. That's the new wine. And so it's just beautiful, and I hope you're understanding that. Here we go. See, this day of darkness, the sixth rung of the ladder, is the darkness. This is when darkness falls, all right? And in darkness, this is where, wonderful things happen. Here's John 14:6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. And of course they talk about making the way straight, making things high, low, and low, high. This is making things even, all right? Plus the straight way is the way they're talking about. The straight way leads to this gate, the small way. And it doesn't mean the narrative is acting straight, doing what you're told, following the narrative is pretty much what one says, but the idea is the straight and narrow path is for you to go inside and work the Kundalini. That's the straight path that they're talking about. And Jesus goes and opens up each one of those as they go. And the Lord's Prayer, actually, he's going down, checking them, and then they're opening them as they come back up again. All right, so because the letters of the churches is healing them as they're going through them, as he goes through them. Let's see here. In Job, we have 12:22. So 12 is 3, all right, and 22 would be a 4. He reveals mysteries from the darkness and brings the deep darkness into light. This idea of revealing the mysteries, that's the idea of going from within. This is the darkness, and this darkness brings out the darkness in the darkness. Light is considered, a way of cleansing. So let's say if you were to be if you were like an alcoholic, or or you like to beat people up and anger something, and you just said one day, I have an anger issue. I have a problem. That's bringing it out into the light, and so the magic happens from that point on, because generally to recognize it and to bring it into light is the first bit of trying to clean it out. So this is all this is about, is cleaning out. Here's Job 16:16. So this is 7:7. All right, so it's got to be something good. It says, my face is flushed from weeping, and deep darkness on my eyelids. And deep darkness is on my eyelids. Okay, well, this sounds very Jewish. They have to put a sackcloth on. We're talking about crossing over. We have to go into the darkness. This is that idea that, there's a veil, We don't see this. It goes on. When Moses tosses down his rod and it turns into this, he turns his head. He couldn't see it, because he can't see it, because that's something that's invisible. But it's just something that happens when you're inside. Matthew 4:16. The people who were sitting in darkness saw a great light. And those who were sitting in the land of shadows of death, and those that were sitting in the land and shadows of death, upon them a light dawned. This is the seventh. All right, so it's showing those people that were sitting in the darkness and in the shadows, and in this shadow of death, which is just not death, but just that's what it means when you kill the flesh. When you sacrifice the lower, or cut off from the higher, the what's above from what's below when you kill yourself, And so a light is dawned. This is the new dawn, and the dawn just means that it's the morning. If you can remember, a lot of these things talk about at midnight, and then by morning, that's the new you being risen, and then you finally cook over here in Leo. That's when to turn to good, when whatever you put in your mouth, the bread is cooked. But everything happens around midnight, and on the scale of things, the way it is on the circle, the way it is, the clock, you have afternoon or morning and afternoon over here, and then you have nightfall, early morning. So, but midnight comes right down here. This in this cosmic scale is where the sun dies at midnight, sits around for 3 days in the winter solstice, and then is reborn again. So what it is the number 3 is in there physically because of the solstice, but 3 is also the intervention. So this is when in our phases of consciousness, this is when we actually die and are being reborn again. And this is what Nicodemus doesn't understand, and this is what people who believe that all they have to do is believe in Jesus and they're reborn. But no, the second phase now starts, and this is water. Water is you have to be reborn. You have to be, baptized in water. And the outside doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't do anything for you. Just get you wet, they say, You have to be inside to get this, And then you're on into spring, and new things start to come to your life, And then you're on up here, and Cancer, it starts to, you're being brought, before the Lord now, and dealt conscious. Whereas hanging out at the hottest time in the day, this is when you're exalted. And this is when the dross is burnt from you, and you turn gold. Right? This is also where the leash comes from, or the bit, and the bridle, the golden bridle. 1 Corinthians 15, 56 and 57. The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. 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 Did you understand what that last one was? The sting of death is sin. I've been busy for the last 4 or 5 days. Honest. I'm trying to get to do something. Been watching and doing other things. Slowly, like I said, it's just been trickling out of me. Anything good and beautiful seems like it was like being drained or pulled from me. But anyways, that's the sting of death. When you feel like you lost this connection, and where the other side's winning. And so, this is where we get the law from, because we have to settle both sides, mom and dad. And that's why it says here that this, and the power of sin is the law. The law is that we take care of mom and dad both. And we wouldn't have dad, this bad side of us has to go out and live, has to have something to make a living, the body, and then we get carried away. This is the prodigal son story. But the idea is that we have the power, and it says, thank God that we have it with us, that gave us the power to win it back over. All right? So that's what it means. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. And so when they say that, it's not through the body or the physical thing of a Jesus thing. That narrative is gone. That narrative don't hunt no more. that is through Jesus Christ, through the way, through going in and cleaning house. You know, thank God that we have that. All right. So that's my lesson that I was trying to get out today, and my computer's doing fine. I erased almost everything I could possibly find. So anyways, this whole idea about the shadow of death. The shadow of death. We're not moments from death. We're not in that situation to be thinking so negatively about ourselves. This is when you are taking God's name in vain, when you mean mouth yourself, because you're God, you're the God. And when you mean mouth yourself, that's just taking God's name in vain. And you deserve better. You deserve better than yourself, you know. So in spite of yourself, betray yourself and find this higher self. And be like me and try to teach other people how to do it. And find the better side of it, you know. And it seems to be important. It really does. It really seems to be important. So, best to you guys. I haven't seen you in a while, and look, now you've had too much of me. All right. I love you, and best to you. This is God's honest truth.